Clyro is a Scottish rock band that are massive in the UK, massive in the UK. You will see them on every festival lineup, at the top of every bill over here. I'm pretty sure they're big in Europe too and other places, but they're definitely one of those bands that's just very UK centric, to the point where, you know, rock music, as far as rock music goes, most people would be able to at least recognize a few songs of theirs and at least know who they are by name. Definitely feel like they're worth checking out as well. They've always had some really good songs. They might be one of those bands that their famous songs might be the best songs. Not always the case with most bands or artists, but I feel like it might be the case for Biffy. Maybe might not be an agreeable take if you're a massive fan of all of their music, but for me, I feel as though you couldn't go wrong with like a greatest hits compilation, if they've even got one, or if they're ever going to do one. I don't know, but I feel like it would be a pretty solid project if that was something that they would do. I think most people agree though, probably not their core fan base, but just casual listeners, they've kind of gotten a bit meh. Their most recent output isn't all that exciting. They're still like a big band for the UK, of course, but they're definitely one of those bands where you could go back to their earlier stuff and find the best music there, or even like, you know, some of their mid-career stuff, you know, like albums like Puzzle, Only Revolutions, and you'd find the best songs there, the best crop of tracks, and then later on you're kind of struggling a little bit to find the good stuff, which, as you can tell by the way I'm saying this new album is a bit like that. It's a bit whatever, kind of getting a bit derivative. They're not really adding anything new to their sound. They're just becoming a bit stale. It's a bit of a shame to see, to be honest, because again, 10 years ago, I'd probably be saying different things about them. But now, as their discography's beefed up and you're getting albums like this, it's a bit of a shame. Opening track's got these like musisms to it. These like falsetto break-ins keep interrupting the track. It becomes very theatrical and a bit over the top. Not all that nice on the ears. It gets a bit irritating, to be honest, but I know, you know, the singer of Biffy Clyro, Simon Neil, I think his name is, occasionally goes into these high-pitched voice things, and it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's also not that great. One thing that's very apparent with this album, though, are the choruses. Like, there's some weak as hell hooks on here. The hook game throughout is just not on point. The track Tiny Indoor Fireworks, the hey 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 thing that keeps getting repeated, is so damn annoying. And it's just a shame to see them stoop to these kind of choruses, because they used to be really good at like bringing out a really like over the top emotive hook that just kills it. And then you just get choruses like this and it's just really standard, quite generic pop rock stuff. The track End Of, though, is definitely one of the better tracks here, one of the rockier tunes on the thing. They kind of just go all out here with the jamming, in terms of like, you know, the guitars sound really good, the riff is great, the drumming is really on point. There are moments on this album though where I feel like the drumming is quite off, so it's nice to get a track like this where they're just giving us what they do really well, and it works. Instant History, to my ears, is atrocious in terms of the percussion and the beat. This track, man, I just hate it. It just really, really grates on my ears. And then the chorus comes through, it's so fucking weak. God damn. Some of these choruses, man, just ain't it. I do feel like tracks like Pink Limit start to feel quite derivative of themselves. Like, we've started to get to a point where they're just repeating things that they've done in the past, which is a shame again, because it just feels like they're not progressing all that much as a band. Pretty comfortable just giving us albums that sound fairly similar to one another. I guess not every band has to give us something new, but it's just like not fresh at all. Like, it's so murky at this point. Like, the freshness is gone. It's just gone. Gets even worse with Opaque though, because this track sounds so much like God and Satan, which is from their 2009 album 11 years ago. And it's like, were they trying to just fool fans into thinking that this wouldn't sound exactly the same? It sounds so similar, like the chord progression, the vocals. It's just like, again, they're just becoming so derivative on themselves that they're just really running out of ideas to maintain anything unique. Even with those negative points, I think Space might be the worst track here though. God, the strings on this one. Oh, they're just so cheesy. They're so cheesy. The entire thing is so sappy. I can't deal with this. I cannot deal with this. It's just too much. And then when you read into the lyrics and listen to what Simon is singing, it gets worse. I'll get lost, so I'll follow the light to your heart. Will you wait for me? Will you wait for me? There's always space in my heart. Then he mentions gravity and then no distance between us. Oh man, just the writing on this just makes my skin crawl. The final track has the instrumental section, which similar to Space has like the strings and feels a bit orchestral, but it's just not particularly inspiring. Like, it's not the worst thing I've ever heard. Obviously it's not that bad. It's fine, but it's just so bleh. Like, I just don't really get anything out of it. And then, you know, they bring it back in right at the end. The final moments of the track goes into the more like rock thing, and it just feels really out of place. Ending the album with "fuck everybody, woo" is just a bit alright. Just a very so-so end to a so-so album. Look, the thing is for me is that I don't really know what fans are expecting from them these days. This might be perfect if you're a big fan of the band, but I'm just struggling to see what they're bringing in terms of what they used to do. Now it's kind of like picking at things to think, oh, this is what they're doing now, because it's just like lesser versions of what they used to do. It's just not a particularly exciting rock album either. Yeah, it just wasn't into this. I'm gonna go 5 out of 10, just not really bothered by this at all. Just feels, again, very stale for what this band are capable of doing. But let me know your thoughts though, because if you're a huge fan, you might love this and you might be happy with what they're doing here. But for me, I'm just kind of struggling to see what they're bringing to the table anymore, especially with modern rock music. What are Biffy doing to separate themselves from everyone else? Because this album doesn't really show a lot of any of that, so it's just really meh for me. Thank you for watching my review though. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you have a good day as well. Subscribe if you haven't already. Goodbye, thank you, and goodbye.